So when you first look at the stats for the World Economic Forum this January, it seems, pretty standard. 3,000 participants, over 130 countries, all gathering in Davos.
Exactly. And the banner they had up read, "A spirit of dialogue."
Right. But when you actually dig into the sessions from the 19th to the 23rd, that so-called dialogue felt a lot more like a global stress test.
It was certainly less about finding consensus and more about, well, collision. The feeling wasn't unity at all. It was more a realization that the tectonic plates of geopolitics and economics are just shifting too fast.
Faster than the policy papers can keep up.
I mean, we're not talking about polite disagreements here. We're looking at fundamental fractures.
And nothing showed that fracture better than the whole situation with Greenland. This wasn't some side conversation.
No, not at all.
We had U.S. President Donald Trump explicitly calling for negotiations over U.S. influence in the territory. And this is different from a few years back, right? This isn't just buying an island.
Oh, it's 100% strategic. The sources are pretty clear. This is about Arctic dominance, securing rare earth minerals. The Arctic is opening up, and the U.S. is signaling it's, vital to their interests.
But the key here was the European response.
Yes. They didn't just dismiss it as a gaffe. Leaders immediately went to a hardline defense of territorial sovereignty.
It basically forced a conversation that I think a lot of people in NATO just wanted to avoid. It really exposed this deep ideological clash within the alliance.
About what partnership even means when resources and sovereignty are on the table. It sets a very tense stage for 2026.
And that friction, it wasn't just limited to maps and borders. If we pivot to the corporate side, you saw a similar kind of battle happening with artificial intelligence.
This was the big reality check of the whole summit, I think. For the last couple of years, the AI narrative has just been pure acceleration.
Yeah.
But this year, the data sort of pulled the emergency brake.
You had this stark contrast. On one hand, you have Larry Fink from BlackRock doubling down, saying the AI boom isn't a bubble.
But that is the central engine of future competition. His message was, crystal clear. Capital will flow to adopters.
But that optimism just ran headfirst into the survey data that came out at the forum.
And that one statistic just stopped everyone in their tracks. Over 50% of companies, 50%, are not seeing significant results from their AI investments yet.
It's a massive deployment gap.
Exactly. Companies bought the chips, they bought the software, but they haven't figured out the strategy to actually get value out of them.
It's like buying a high-performance sports car but having no idea how to actually drive it on a track. The investment is there, but the return isn't.
It suggests we're moving out of the, let's call it the magical phase of AI and into the messy, difficult integration phase.
Right, and that's where the real money is made or lost.
But while all these companies are worrying about digital efficiency, there was this fascinating pivot to physical efficiency, specifically the environment. But not in the usual way. This was purely economic.
You're talking about the breakdown from Harvard economist Geeta Gopinath. Her data on India just completely reframes the climate argument.
It really does. She pointed out that pollution is currently costing India's economy far more than tariffs are.
Just think about that. We always talk about tariffs as the big killer of growth.
And she's saying environmental degradation is actually the bigger line item expense on the national balance sheet. It shifts the entire conversation from green versus growth to green is growth.
Which fits perfectly with that new Blue Davos initiative we saw. They're finally moving water systems, freshwater, oceans out of the charity discussion.
And into the core economic stability discussion. They're acknowledging that water is a systemic risk. You can't run a semiconductor plant or sustain your agriculture without stable water.
It's about pricing that risk into the market.
Yes, and it's similar to what we saw from Saudi Arabia. They weren't just talking oil. They were talking heavily about human capital, about workforce development.
It's this recognition that your resources in 2026 aren't just what you pull out of the ground. It's the health and capability of your people.
So when you step back, that spirit of dialogue was really a dialogue about value. The U.S. sees value in Arctic position. Companies are struggling to find the value in their AI spend. And economies are realizing the destroyed value from pollution.
It definitely paints a picture of a world in transition, just trying to figure out the new rules, which leaves us with a pretty big question on that tech front.
Right. If half the market isn't seeing a return on their single biggest investment, what happens next? Are we heading for a massive correction? Or is this just that necessary, trough of disillusionment right before the real boom?
That is the gamble everyone is taking. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.